need to read this verse. This is crucial. Can you turn to 1 Samuel 12:12? You see, this was a statement eventually of the Lord concerning the whole thing. And when you saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, you said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us, when the Lord your God was your king. You want a king, but you remember that the Lord your God will be your king all the time. You may try to make different selections, but never forget, even though you may have a king, the Lord God will still be your king. By nature, like to have something to rely upon. I'm from Harvard. I'm from Yale. I'm from Northwest, University of Chicago. You know, brothers, all these means you rely on something. That's your human life. My bank account, you know, there's $70,000 US. I bought 6 houses now, even though they are mortgaged. But anyway, under my name there are 6 houses. They all can become the Lord for you to rely on. In the church life, we rely on something else rather than the Lord. The Lord will give you senior, older brothers to shepherd you, to care for you, but the Lord will never let you rely on anything, anyone, any ministry, but Christ himself. Amen. So that's the principle of the king here. Now we come to chapter 3. Message 3. Message 3 is a very sad message, because you have a man. A man loves, very godly. A man very well behaved. A man very humble. But eventually, after God began to use him, and even in a way after God has used him, he became very religious. Just because his religious, you must have a word, religiosity or something? Religiosity. Just because of his religiosity, now he has no value, became a person of no value before the Lord. Let's come. The brand of religion according to Saul. In other words, what are the marks? How do you know this is religion? If you're confronting these things, you know these are the religious matters, religious things. Number 1, appealing to man's need in the name of Jehovah. You know, the Israelites feel we are as a man, we have a need. Our need is a king. That's why they pray to Samuel. And Samuel pray to God. And eventually, God gives them a king. Let me ask you, what's wrong with Saul? Sometimes I wonder, has Saul never been anointed? Wouldn't he be just a happy man living in Benjamin, take care of something with his family, has a good ending, and not become a marking target for the coming 3,000 years? You know, he been marked for 3,000 years. People talk about Saul and how bad he is. People talk about David, how good he is, because they don't read the Bible. They just talk. You know, he actually is pretty nice man. Yet, when I was young, I heard story about Saul. My feeling was he's a terrible man. He's ungodly. He did everything terrible. He persecuted David, anointed. Forget. But remember that. To him, I am anointed. If you declare you are anointed, you are rebellious. Because I'm anointed. And he can tell you, he can give you a story. Brother, when the Lord anointed me, what has happened, how I had a new heart, how I become a new person, how the Spirit come upon me. And they all are real testimony. Everything to him is very genuine. He was such a nice person, eventually with what a sad ending. What was the reason? Because man has a need. And his existence is to meet man's need. If he turned that existence into to satisfy God's heart, there'll be no more problem. His problem is, yes, man has a need, therefore let meet man's need. Oh, he is in trouble. In other words, you know what is preaching gospel? To meet man's need. Is that good? Very, very good. Preach gospel is marvelous. But only preach gospel, God will say, no. You must bring those regenerated into my heart desire. Do you see the difference or not? There will be a big difference. So number one, his problem is he appears to man's need in the name of Jehovah. Are they real? Yes. Is that necessary according to the Lord? Yes. Yet, is that healthy? No, that's not enough. So here the verse says, in those days there was no king in Israel. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, came to Samuel and to Ramah, and said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in the ways. In other words, you got terrible sons. This part I love Samuel. Brother, it's hard for me to find anyone on the globe in my life can tolerate criticism about his son. I tell you, yet Samuel was very spiritual. He took it. So they talked with him, your son was terrible. The son not walking the way. Now make us a king to judge us like the nations, because we see all the nations are doing well. Now we have 450 years in the good land, yet messed up with 7 cycles of 13 judges and with some priests. Eventually, in other words, there's a cycles going around. Let's face it, we don't have good days. Compare the days, 450 years, right? In Egypt, 400 years. This is longer now. Compare, do you like to be in Egypt or in the good land? I tell you, I like to be in Egypt. I work very hard. Brother, today the whole globe is 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 jobs. And we burn something, we make the breaks, and we go home, we enjoy our family. So actually, their life's not that bad. Brother, then how about going to a good land? Every day your life is under threatening. The tribes of Canaanites, and more than that, the Philistines. Philistines come in from southeast of good land. Philistines invaded. I think they're stupid. If I were them, I wouldn't ask for a king. I would just tell Samuel, how about we go back to Egypt? What kind of life is this? I heard Christians say this. They never told us that complicated. When we heard the gospel, all what we heard was, you are sinful, and now if you believe in Jesus, and what the Lord love you, and you will be comforted, you will have no more sin, no more sorrow. What is that? They lied to me all the way through. Well, brother, they didn't lie to you. They tell you the reality you didn't get, which is real. What they preach is real. Then the brother even told me, oh, say Titus, I'm in the church life now, how long? I tell you honest, do you want me to tell you honest? The life is so hard. What happened? That I want to serve you, that if I serve you, that because you have called me according to man's need, eventually I get myself caught with such a life. You know why? Because religion's there. Now, he was made a king according to man's need. Number 2, he possesses spiritual things and consider that they can be inherited. It's very, very hard. It's very hard for people to believe. I gave you a good illustration, which is good. It's very normal for a spiritual man. Just consider, it's normal for my son to be involved. For it's normal for my son to have some place. Now Eli was very old and heard all his son did unto Israel. In other words, when Eli was the judge, the priest, oh, his 2 sons are more than terrible. So you say, well, because Eli was waxing eyesight, it's not clear at all. Then how about Samuel? his verse is striking. He said, and it came to pass, when Samuel was old, and he made his sons judges over Israel. Could you believe in that? So witchcraft, right? We will see him in eternity. That one thing I should have to ask him. I said, Samuel, you are perfect. You know, Adam has problems. Abraham has problems. David has problems. Even Paul has minor problems. Peter has problems. Samuel has no problems. Until you read this verse. What? You as a judge, you make your sons governors. Do you get my point or not? If 12 tribes, how many sons? The governors of these tribes. So that here is the judges over Israel. Why? Very normal. The spiritual things possessed, it can be inherited. Now, if we read 1 Samuel chapter 20, verses 30 and 31, verse 30, 31. Then Saul has the same thing. Now, Eli has it, Samuel has it, Saul has it. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, that's his own son. And he said unto him, thou son of perverse, rebellious woman. In other words, he blamed his mother. That's interesting, huh? How come my wife beget a son like you? He doesn't blame himself. Do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thine own confusion, that unto the confusion of thy mother's nakedness you put your mother to shame. Verse 31. For as long as the son of Jesse, which is David, right? As long as the son of Jesse lives upon the ground, thou shalt not be established, nor thy kingdom. So who should be the next king? Who made him king? Who made Saul king? God, right? Then who should be the next king? God, right? But for some reason, the spiritual thing come. All of a sudden that's it. Now we got it. Let's hold it. Don't let it go. That's it. That's it. Brother, we didn't realize we become religion. Brother, I say this, and I say this very sober. Even today among us, it's too easy for us to consider the ministry can be continued. No, the ministry cannot be continued. The ministry belongs to a person. So when a person's there, the ministry is there. There's no continuation of ministry. The person deceased, the Lord needs to raise up new person for the ministry. Do you get my point or not? So, Watchman Nee in the book called The Table in the Wilderness, you know that book, huh? In the last message, he talked about it. He said, the ground must be opened for the new ministry to develop. Now, maybe 30 years later, maybe how many years later, there must be ground for new ministry to develop. But our concept is there's inheritance. Who inherit whom? Who inherit whom? Who inherit whom? Who continue whom? Who succeed whom? Brother, no. What is religion? Religion means you possess the spiritual things. You already have it. Then you consider that they can be inherited. Eli was so, Samuel was so, Saul was so, and I tell you, eventually even David was so. But David's selection has a revelation from God. So there's the Lord speaking about it, not his assumption. Do you know the difference? Huh? It's so easy for us to consider some spiritual things can be inherited. Thirdly, committed by God, yet laying hold on the commitment by the self-life. Something was given. You know that the Lord wants you to do it. And then you try to do it with your self-life. Committed by God, if you can just remember, committed by God, you're laying hold of the commitment by the self-life. The Lord has told me to do so. I want to be faithful to it. That's it. Then you become religious.